today to talk about lower body dressing following a shoulder surgery or injury. This video is going to go into a great deal of depth as far as how to complete your lower body dressing one-handed, which is the case for a lot of folks who are dealing with a surgical recovery or injury that limits the function of one arm. This could be for a shoulder, a clavicle, even below the elbow, wrist, hand, you name it. So this is really good for all of those. I'm going to show you the equipment you need and talk about the types of clothing items you should select that's going to make your life exponentially easier. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is pants and underwear. So when you select the pants or undergarments that you're going to be wearing following your shoulder surgery or injury, it's good to think about what's going to be easiest to manage. Obviously, first choice is going to be something that is loose fitting, relatively speaking, and has an elastic waistband. So something that's going to pull up without having to add any additional effort. Something that doesn't have to be tied at the waist, so something that fits without having to cinch it to make it tighter. Something that is going to not have to be buttoned or zipped. All those things are going to make your life a lot easier. If you do require the use of pants that have a zipper and button, say for example for work, then you can do that, but you will need an extra tool. That tool is called a button pull, and it's available on Amazon. I'll put links down below. They're a very simple product that you would use to one-handed pull buttons. This also works for a button-down shirt, so I'll put a link down below for that. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using my favorite type of pant for this type of recovery, and that is a trusted pair of elastic waist pants. So when it comes to putting the pants on, the same would go for the underwear. You're going to want to thread each foot in independently before you stand up. So do not attempt to do this in the standing position. You want to be seated on a comfortable height item. I'm on my bed here because it's much easier to get up and down from. If you have good mobility at the hips and knees, and you're able to kind of thread the pants on, that's what you're going to do first. I recommend actually doing this without socks on. I do have socks on for this, but they do tend to stick inside the pants. So if you don't have your socks on, that's all the better. So I'm not having to do too much here. I'm always keeping a hand on the waistband, and I may kind of open the pants a little bit with my hand here. All one-handed. Make sure that you pull the pants all the way up over your feet. And then what I like to do, so that they don't fall down when I stand up, is I kind of pull them up to my thighs here, and then I'm going to widen my legs a little bit. And by pulling them apart, the elastic is compressing against my leg, and it's going to keep them in position so that I don't run the risk of the pants or underwear falling to the floor when I go to stand up to put them on. So now we'll stand up. This takes a little bit of practice, but at this point, we're going to work the pants over our hips one-handed. I have to say that this is one of the more challenging aspects of dressing one-handed, is getting your pants sufficiently up over your hips. After going to the bathroom, just getting dressed in general. But there you go. I've got my pants on. I can adjust them a little bit at the waist. Same would go for your underwear, and they are on. Taking the pants off is simply going to go in reverse. You would obviously start in standing, and if you can drop them to the floor while you're standing, that's great. If not, you're going to sit down at the point where the pants need to come off from over your feet. You will sit and then either shake them down or lift them up. If you do not have the ability to reach to the floor or bring your legs up to you, whether that's due to weakness or arthritis in the hips or knees, you can use a reacher for this task. One-handed pants management with a reacher is very doable. It was done exactly the same way as I showed, except for without my hand, I'd be using the reacher to extend my reach down to the floor. But no, it takes some significant practice and patience to get good at. So that is an option. But the way I showed is definitely the easiest way if you have the mobility to do so. So there's pants, pretty simple. And now I'm going to go over socks. So socks are, there's a lot of different types of socks. There's going to be a lot of different types of strategies that are going to make your life easier. I like a sock with a loose fitting ankle. Now I'm doing these short socks. You can do a high sock, but anything that has a nice stretchy opening here, if you rely on compression socks, which is a large number of people, know that it is very difficult to manage compression socks independently one-handed. You may require assistance for this during the early phases of your recovery when you absolutely cannot use two hands. it's difficult to do without recovering from an injury, so just be warned, you may need help for that. But for regular socks, it's very doable. A good diabetic sock has a lot of stretch in it. These socks I purchased are just a really inexpensive one off of Amazon. And what you want to do is open the sock with your fingers like this. So you want a nice open space to start feeding your toes through. And once it's over your toes, it's just a matter of patience, making sure the sock is adjusted, pulling it over your foot, over the heel, and you're good to go. If you cannot do this with your leg up like this, if you do not have this mobility and you rely on something like a sock aid to put your socks on, do not fear, that is still an option for you one-handed. All right, so when we're done with socks, we're gonna move on to shoes. My favorite type of shoe for one-handed management are shoes like this. These are gonna be completely stretch-based. They have no laces to manage, really easy to get on and off, just about as easy as they can be. So these are good because they also provide me a tennis shoe-like support. When you're recovering from any kind of surgery or anything, I always recommend a really stable shoe. You do not want to be tripping. You do not want to be running the risk of slipping when you're moving, when you're recovering from surgery. So a good, stable, safe shoe is a good option. These are fantastic. They're by Merrell. There's different types out there by every brand you can think of. I do recommend having a long-handed shoe horn for this process. It's going to make your life a lot easier with shoes in general, so getting practiced with one of these is great. This one's by Juvo. It combines as a shoe horn and a dressing stick. So just real quick, I'll show you how I would do this with this type of shoe. Placing my foot on the shoe horn and simply sliding in. No tongue to contend with of the shoe. It slides in really easily, gives me great support. So this is a fantastic option if you have a pair like this already or are looking to purchase something new for the process of your recovery. So we can take it off the same way, either using the shoe horn or pressing off with the other foot. Either way, it works.